Welcome. Welcome all to the District 4 Toastmasters Bay to Bay from San Francisco to Monterey. Our organization here gives many people the chance to face their fear for public speaking, and then when they have too much energy to put into their speaking and speaking in front of people isn't enough, you get to do it on TV. Tonight we'll have two speakers. Our first speaker has been a Toastmaster for 6 years. She's held several leadership positions within the district, including area governor and district governor. Division governor. She's a member of Tandem Toastmasters in Area G3 and Coherent Communicators in Area G1. She enjoys competing in speech contests. Her name is Shilpa Vir. Her speech is called Keep On Stepping. Everyone, please welcome Shilpa Vir.
It was Christmas Eve. A priest sat down in front of Lord sobbing because he had failed to raise $5 million needed for renovating the church. Oh Lord, help me. Show me the way. Lo and behold, Jesus appeared and he said, "Son, I want to help you. And I have decided that you are going to win the mega lottery jackpot next week." Finally, the priest was able to sleep at night. But next week when the jackpot was announced, he was not the winner. So he ran back confused and said, "Lord, you said you will help me. What happened?" Jesus said, "Son, I wanted to help you. I showed you the way, but you didn't take a step." "What step?" "Son, you did not buy the lottery ticket." Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, all of us have dreams. All of us. Maybe it's a fancy house for you, or the best behaved kids, that fancy exotic vacation, or for me, just fitting in an old pair of jeans. A lot of us even set realistic goals and make plans and take a few steps towards them. New Year's resolution, anybody? Yet most of us take only a few steps and then stop. Because we forget that in order to reach that finish line, we need to take one step at a time, but we must never stop stepping. We need to keep on stepping. I recently heard about a South Korean lady who passed her written driving test exam after 950 tries. Now I know what you are thinking. I know. You're thinking, amazing incompetence. Well, let's just stop for a minute and also admire her amazing persistence. For 4 years, this lady kept on giving the test again and again and again, being well aware that people around her are laughing, making fun of her. But in the end, she made it to the finish line. That's nice. Having said that, she's not allowed to drive my car. Ever. I also hear people sometimes saying, I know it's a good idea, I want to achieve it, whatnot, but I know my odds, so I'm not even going to try. Well, let's say you have a dream and your chances of succeeding are 1 in 100. Well, make it 1,000. But you still have a chance, right? If you try really hard, you might succeed. But if you don't even try, if you give it up before even trying, what are your odds then? 0. 0. So what's the harm in trying or taking a few steps? These days, my latest resolution is to get back in shape and fit in an old pair of jeans. Now you're calculating my odds. You are. And that's okay. Learning from my past mistakes and in spirit of keeping on stepping, I have decided that every time I tell anybody about it or think about it, I'm going to do 5 jumping jacks. So let's count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I know, I said jumping jacks. But in front of the camera, this is as far as I go. Can I fit in that pair of jeans now? Can I really? I wish. Even my husband wishes. But am I not 5 steps closer? I generally do this 10 times a day. You know how many that is in an year? About 20,000 jumping jacks. How's that for a step? Friends, achievement is connected with action. Successful people all around you keep on moving. They fall down, they get up. They don't quit. They make mistakes, but they keep on moving. You've seen babies. You have babies. Have you noticed how they prop themselves up on anything they can hold? Get up and with shaky, wobbly steps try to move? They keep on trying. They fall down. They cry a bit, but another minute they're ready to go again. And in a matter of a few weeks, the pitter-patter of tiny feet is everywhere. Oh, what a joy. If babies can learn how to walk, we can certainly do that. So whenever in doubt, say, taking steps is not hard. Even babies can do it. And so can I. Remember, friends, you should not be afraid of going slow or falling down because you're making progress. What you need to be afraid of is standing still and going nowhere. You do not fail when you fall down. You only fail when you refuse to get back up. So, set up some goals and keep on stepping. Don't be afraid of going slow because each and every step will bring you closer to your dreams, will move you close to your goal, make it more and more achievable. So keep on stepping. And when you are in doubt, remember that Mount Everest, oh yeah, the mighty Mount Everest, can be conquered the same way as a baby learns to walk, one step at a time. So keep on stepping. Mr. Toastmaster.
Oh my, 20,000 jumping jacks. I don't think I can do 20,000 of anything.
You don't have to do anything at all. One step at a time.
So do you track anything else like that?
I track the number of speeches I give, the amount of water I drink, and sometimes food.
So 20,000 bottles of water a day or a year?
In my lifetime, maybe.
Oh, excellent. So speaking of repeats, I understand this is your second time on this show. Mm-hmm. What was the first time like?
Fun.
Well, must have been since you're back here. What are the differences that you've noticed?
I have noticed a different Toastmaster, a different audience. But most of all, I have noticed that a lot of people are getting to know about this particular program and there's more awareness around it. Mm-hmm. And it's a really good effort on part of District 4.
So do you have anything to say out there to any of those who are interested in perhaps coming onto camera with us?
It's not as bad as it sounds. Seriously. Face your fears. Come over here. You are going to enjoy it.
Thank you so much, Shilpa. Now to evaluate Shilpa, we have an individual who's been a member of Toasters R Us for 3 years. This is also their second time on the show. Please welcome to the camera, Pallavi Padala.
Thank you, Toastmaster, fellow members, and Shilpa. I did my part. 5 jumping jacks. Excellent speech. Thanks for bringing us such an inspiring topic. Any speech for that matter has 4 components. This is my theory. I would say title, opening, body, and conclusion. So today I decided to try it in a different format. So I'm going to evaluate Shilpa the way it's structured. Coming to the title, excellent choice of title. A title should be simple, precise, but captivating. Keep on stepping. Perfect way. Opening. She gave us with a humor. She gave us a story, but a lot of humor. I'm like, wow, that's right. A good transition into the body of it. In the body, Shilpa did a lot of things that we all can learn from her. She did a lot of body language.
We're cutting. We had a technical problem with your mic.
I think it fell off right when she was.
Ah, okay.
That never happened before.
Yeah, the battery fell out. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to edit this obviously afterwards. So at that time, everybody's doing a fine job. We were completely on the nose timing-wise. You got out just at 19 minutes, which is exactly where we wanted to be. So what I want you to do, Alan, is go ahead and introduce her again, okay? And then I'll find a way. I'll find a way to cut it in place, okay?
Sorry.
You have her say a few words.
Say a few words just to make sure the mic's working.
Is it working now? Day has been busy. Excellent.
Okay, we got you now.
Do you want to give me a couple seconds to cue or
I won't jump this time. I'm not jumping now. I don't want the batteries to come out.
yeah, it fell out right there. Should have popped it back in.
Let me change it again. It's impromptu.
Should I say now that we're done editing out my attempt at jumping jacks?
Shall I change it or just continue the way it was?
It was good. It was very good.
Shall I do the jumping jacks again?
Yes. Yes.
You think I should?
Yes. It's excellent.
We were just figuring out things.
Mm-hmm.
So can I just give my mic to the next speaker while I'm at it?
We're gonna have those 3 minutes anyway, so yeah.
Alan, do you remember where you're standing before?
I think I was here.
Okay.
If we can have you stand in front of your word when he introduces you.
Yeah, I think you did introduce it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, those 3 minutes, yeah.
You wanted to go behind the podium this time?
Do you want to start with Mr. Toastmaster? I mean, that whole segment we can do then, but then
My Stan's gonna edit it together.
yeah.
So they're going to want you to stand not right. They want you to stand either behind the podium or right. So that was right in front of it. Right there. So stand right where he is, or else behind it.
Throughout the
For
whole
you.
evaluation?
Yeah, at least when you start off.
Just so you're standing in a different
Further
place when they start for the editing.
Okay.
Stand where he is now.
Now, right now?
Okay, right now.
When you walk on. When you start there.
So should I start a little bit? Like,
Do you remember where should we have our Toastmaster start? Is he standing right about in the right place now, or?
I think I was right about
So
here.
Alan, just stand right about there.
But since Shilpa's, since Pallavi started off this way, if it's a little bit more that way, then they can do a cleaner cut on the edits. Because they don't want to do like one of those transitions that makes it look obviously edits. So they're trying to do like that.
One more question for them, just a moment.
We normally don't
So-
stop.
Okay, so we're gonna have you start right there, then you're gonna go up.
Okay.
And did you want her to go behind, or just stay right where the Toastmaster is? Okay.
Okay, so the idea here is that we want the evaluator go ahead and take your place right now, okay? Just go there, take your place. Okay, and let's preview 3.
That just
Right,
went to
so
the
that's
camera.
perfect. So what we want to do is the idea is that camera 3, which is just over your left shoulder there, if you look behind her, she's going to shoot past your shoulder to the speaker. So that's why we want you there. If you're all the way to the right side of the stage, we can't get that shot.
Okay.
And if you're about just behind the lectern, we can't get that shot. So that's right where the sweet spot is. So that's what we're trying to set up, okay?
Okay.
So that's perfect.
Shall I
where
start
you wanna,
over again?
No, the Toastmaster is going to introduce you, okay? But just eventually end up right where you're standing.
Okay.
Okay?
Right in front of you. Right in front of
Okay, so let's take our starting places, please.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and cue you. Okay, so want to give me the floor is ready.
Evaluating Shilpa tonight is a 3-year veteran of Toasters R Us. Please welcome to the stage Pallavi Padala.
The Toastmaster, fellow members, and Shilpa. My 5 jumping jacks show something. They show that her speech was inspirational and that I liked it and I remembered it. Perfect way. Thank you, Shilpa, for that inspiring speech. My theory of speech is it has 4 components. It has a title, it has an opening, body, and conclusion. I'm an engineer by profession, so I like the structure, and every speech has a structure in it. So today I've decided that I'm going to evaluate Shilpa based on these 4 different parts of speech: title, opening, body, and conclusion. Let's go with the title. Keep on stepping. My jumping jacks was a good proof that I captured her speech title very well. A perfect way to introduce a speech is to have a punchy title. She did very well in that. Coming to the opening of it, she narrated a good story and with a lot of humor. Who doesn't like humor? So your title and your opening were very, very captive. Coming to the body, which is the major gist of your speech, I like the way Shilpa used her body language. She counted, she showed expression, good facial expressions, good vocal variety, good use of humor. You made your point very, very clear. But I do have a point that you felt that you can improve on. That is your pauses. You and me are one of those people who love to talk and who like to pass on the positive energy to the rest of the audience. So we tend to speak a lot. But if ever we breathe, take a deep pause. Pause. Convey our next point. I think it makes an overall your speech would be a lot more effective. She did very good of using the space. She walked around. She looked at the audience. She finished a sentence, and that made her point very, very clear. She was looking through you, into you, and that conveyed how important her speech was to her and how authentic the speech material was to her. On the conclusion, I felt that you did do a lot of good things. You did inspire us. You had punchy lines, but you never gave us call for action. You said, come on, starting tomorrow, do 5 jumping jacks. Maybe you should have done that. Keep on stepping, keep on moving forward. Back to Toastmasters.
Thank you, Pallavi. That was excellent. And now for our next segment, we have a short on a featured club called Cisco Telepresence. They're actually quite interesting because half of them meets in San Jose while the other half meets over camera in Singapore. The main event is who gets to have their meeting at 4 a.m. in the morning. Let's take a look.
I would now request Jim to read out objectives of P3.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow members, and most welcome guests. Gary's project is Get to the Point.
Well, what we just did is we had a telepresence meeting, what's called a point-to-point meeting. So we had 2 rooms. Half the room is here in San Jose, and the other half that we had was in Singapore. This is a great idea for Toastmasters. I would like to see these meetings occurring at least once a quarter.
That's why we bring this up. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah.
You need very different skills than a normal face-to-face meeting. The eye contact, do you look at the person, do you look at the camera? Moving your head forward or backward to emphasize or de-emphasize a point. Using your hands, but you're sitting, so you can't be up and walking around. So the way that we communicate and present is very different than when you're in front of an audience on a podium.
I was expecting that we would have delays in our conversation, but no, it's just like we're talking across the table. So this is great. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Technologies like this are going to get more and more popular, and you'll see different ideas popping up, and the way we communicate in the future is going to change, and I think we're really on to the future here.
And what brings us together is this movement called Toastmasters. And we learn communication and leadership to enhance our communication skills, where we can bring all these skills back to our workplace, back to our family, and back to our society.
I think we're breaking into something new. This is going to be a way that we all need to be comfortable in communicating in the future. And before long, there'll be lots of other Toastmaster meetings occurring like this.
For kingdom, 1R, 3N. Wish, 1 soul. Beauty, 3R, 1 7 soul. Shopping, 4
So collaboration is wonderful. Believe in the power of collaboration, and you can definitely achieve all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The major paradigm shift of the Homo sapiens is just around the corner. Welcome to the new world.
Excellent. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
It's good to see you. Have a good day.
Put our notes together.
Welcome back to Beta Bay, San Francisco to Monterey. Our second speaker for the night is a 6-year veteran of Toastmasters. She is a software developer by the day, and in the evening, she's a freelance writer. She's written a book called Beginning GIMP, From Novice to Professional. Akkana Peck asks, do you own your stuff?
When you buy a book or a movie or a song, do you own it? I have a device here called a Palm Zyre. I bought it on eBay, and I use it as an ebook reader. I have 20 or 30 books on it, and every day I download news from the web, world news, current events, science and technology, so I can keep up with what's going on. But it has a small screen. It's hard to read sometimes, and I wish I had a bigger, more modern device. So when Amazon came out with their Kindle, I was excited. I wanted one. But then I found out that the Kindle doesn't read any of the formats I use. You can't just download a website and read it. You can't download free books from Project Gutenberg or Google. No, Amazon wants you to buy things from them in their format. And the problem with their format is that it uses something called digital rights management, or DRM. DRM is a way that a company controls your access to a file, when or where you can read it or play it or listen to it. For instance, did you know that movies on DVD are encrypted? They're in a secret code. So when your DVD player reads a movie off the DVD, before it can show it to you, it has to decode it. But of course, it's easy to decode. Everybody knows how to do it, or DVD players wouldn't be able to play movies. So it's kind of like locking your house and then putting the key under the mat. What's the point? Why do they do it? Well, in 1999, we found out a teenager in Norway named Jan Johansson had a DVD that he wanted to play on his Linux computer. But at the time, there were no DVD playing programs for Linux. So Jan spent a weekend, and he wrote one. And he put it on the web so other Linux users could benefit. Well, Hollywood was not amused. They came after him. They wanted to prosecute him, and they put pressure on the Norwegian legal system to prosecute Jan. But wait, prosecute him? For what? All he did was play a DVD that he had bought legally. So what were the charges? Well, it turns out that in the United States, breaking a code, breaking encryption is equivalent to trespassing. So the charges against Jan were illegally trespassing upon a computer system. But wait, trespassing on whose computer? They asked, and the answer came back, his own. Jan was prosecuted for 5 years in the Norwegian legal system for illegally trespassing upon his own computer until he was finally cleared in 2004. Now this happens with ebooks too. Dmitry Skolyarov found that out. Dmitry was a programmer for a Russian company that makes ebooks accessible to blind people. And Dmitry figured out a way to unlock Adobe's electronic book format. He was invited to a conference in Las Vegas to present his work, but when he arrived at the airport, the FBI was there to meet him. And they arrested Dmitry and they threw him in jail. He was in jail for several weeks, and then he wasn't allowed to leave the country for another 5 months before finally Adobe relented and told the FBI to let Dmitry go back home to his family. And when he got home, the Russian government made a statement to researchers warning them against presenting in the United States or traveling to the United States for any reason. But Dmitry, Jan, they're programmers, geeks, researchers. What about regular people? How does DRM affect all of us? Well, in 2008, people who had bought music from the Walmart and Microsoft digital music stores suddenly found that none of their music would play anymore. You see, that music used a format called WMA, Windows Media Audio, which incorporates a form of DRM, which checks with the server online. If the server isn't there, the music won't play. And when those stores closed, there was no more server. So songs that they had bought legally, they didn't own anymore. And that applies to ebooks too, to get us back to the Kindle and Amazon. Because in July of last year, some owners of the Amazon Kindle found, to their great surprise, that some of their books had just disappeared off their Kindles. Books that they had purchased legally from Amazon, off Amazon.com, for the Kindle, were gone, along with any notes they had made. And the greatest irony in this, 2 of the books affected were George Orwell's 1984 and Animal Farm. Wouldn't Orwell have had a field day with that? Well, Amazon apologized. They said they would never do that again. Do you believe them? Do you trust them? They could do it any time. Do you own your books? Or your music? Or your movies? Do you want to? If you want to own your stuff, pay attention to what format electronic files are in when you buy them. Don't buy files that have digital rights management. Buy files in open formats. Don't buy files that restrict how many devices you can run them on, or say you have to check with a server or unlock a file after you've downloaded it. Try to send a message to the companies saying that customers care about these things. Send a message to the companies that when you buy something, you want to own it. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Akkana. One of my favorite things about going to Toastmasters is the amazing things that I can learn when I go to these meetings. So Akkana, can you tell us, how do you tell if one of these digital media formats is actually open, like you were telling us to look for?
Well, one of the primary things to look for is whether a file says it's restricted to certain devices. For instance, if it says that you can only run it on 2 or 3 devices, then it's almost certainly DRM. If it says that you can only run it on a Kindle and no other device, it's probably something to avoid. You want something that can run on practically anything.
Oh, I see. Now, have you considered writing perhaps another book about this issue?
I hadn't thought about it, but it's a good idea.
So tell us about your first book. What is Beginning GIMP about?
Well, GIMP is an image processing program. It's kind of like Photoshop, but it's open source and free software. And so you can take photographs and modify them, turn them into greeting cards or animations, or do whatever you want with it.
Oh, okay. So it's for picture editing?
Picture editing, yes.
Oh, excellent. What kind of things can it do compared to, say, Photoshop or CorelDRAW?
Pretty much all the same stuff.
Really? Where do I go get it?
GIMP.org.
GIMP.org. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And I feel very enlightened tonight. Evaluating Akkana is a veteran of 2 years with the Yahoo Yapsters, MCA Toastmasters, and the Advanced Club Next Step Toastmasters. He's currently the area governor for Area G1. Please welcome to the stage, Atol Nayak.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Akkana. That was a wonderful speech. Today, Akkana was working out of her Competent Communicator Manual, project number 7. Her aim was to research multiple sources, such as the internet or libraries, and present information to us. And she really did that very well. What I like about your speech, Akkana, is that you did not bore us with fancy studies or experiments or samples. You told us real stories. You told us stories about young people like Jan from Norway and Dmitry from Russia. All they did was use innovation, use their brains, and come up with a solution. And they released their knowledge out into the internet. Is it their fault? You made us think. You made us stop and pause. We live in technology. We live in Silicon Valley. And why do we build technology that inhibits access to multimedia or electronic files? And you made us think about those questions. You asked us to question DRM. And I think you drove that point home very well. You also you informed us about DRM, and your call to action was send a message to the companies that we want information that we can use across devices or exchange with our friends and our family. What could you have done better in this speech? I found that this is a tip that someone else gave me, and I should probably do it myself. He told me that imagine there's a fence in front of you, a wall in front of you, and you are trying to reach out to people beyond that wall. I'm referring to your gestures. I found your hands over here most of the time, or about, at belly level. And this speech had a lot of opportunity for big gestures. And at one point you did that when you expressed frustration about that company that does that. And I really like that. I would have liked to see some more frustration or some more emotion on certain points, because this is clearly a topic that you feel strongly about. You believe that all this content should be available freely. You are a strong proponent of free software, and there was an opportunity for you to express that really strongly. But overall, I found the speech very well researched. You delivered it in a nice narrative style, and you drove home the point, and you convinced us that we should adopt non-DRM software and multimedia files. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you for that excellent evaluation, Atol. Everybody, give yourself a hand for a wonderful show. As you can see, being on camera is very similar to being in the Toastmasters meeting for those of you who might be thinking about coming to join us. I would highly recommend it. In fact, this is probably the best way for you to be on the road to go and get yourself your own talk show, because that's what it feels like for me. I mean, hey, look, Mom, I'm on camera, right? So certainly, come and check it out. For those of you who may be checking this out because you're interested in about Toastmasters, and perhaps you have a friend that's urging you to come, totally do it. You have so many things to talk about, and it just completely changes your outlook on life. Can you imagine, say, being presented with the opportunity to go on a blind date and say, well, I may as well go. Hey, I need a topic for a new speech. That's a great way to do it. That's how I got married, by the way. Whole nother story. But definitely, though, everyone, when you do get the chance, check out d4tm.org for more information on this show. Thank you.